Okay, so I guess to start off, the goal of the trip has been to speak to veterans and to produce a lot more content about opening up about PTSD, and that hasn't really happened yet, simply because, well, to be honest, I decided to start doing this at the end of April, and I've been kind of making it up as I go along, and the logistics of traveling and keeping the bike running, broadcasting where I'm going to be and when, and all my travel plans, has actually been, a bit more than I expected. Part of what I wanted to do was to connect with veterans advocates and veteran business owners, and I've noticed that, I've really got to scale that back, and I'm just really trying to focus on connecting with veterans and getting those interviews and getting them out. The challenge is getting those interviews and getting the word out, and I feel like I'm starting to gain a bit of momentum, and people are starting to realize I'm showing up places, and more people are starting to understand what it is I'm doing and why I'm there, and I'm hoping that picks up. So I wanted to, this has been brewing for a little bit, so I wanted to share a little bit more, not my story, but some observations. So again, I released the beginning of April, so I'm still very much in transition as well, and getting used to that new reality. And one thing I noticed, I gave that interview with Fred Hutton on Monday, on Canada Day, or July 2nd, for CBC Newfoundland, and he asked me about, do people still hide it in order to keep working, and do people maybe not get the help they need because of that? And I said, yeah, absolutely, and I was one of those people. But Fred asked me something, and I've listened to the interview since, and I feel like I missed the mark on one question in particular. He straight up asked me. He said, "How are you doing?" And I gave the used car salesman answer. I said, you know what? Right immediately, laugh and joke, and I'm far too busy to be upset or depressed or any of those things, is what I said. And there's truth in that, but if I go back to my diagnosis and I go back to time into RCR, especially way back when, nobody knew I had PTSD because, again, I had a doc say, you're the life of the party, you're always cracking jokes. And that's a prime example of that minimization right there. And the same thing happened in therapy or in counseling sessions. Go in and, haha, yeah, things suck, but it's okay. That minimization is still there. It's still a habit. And I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass because that was the opportunity on live radio for me to say, I'm not okay. And so, in the spirit of making things right, I'm going to say it right now. I am not okay. I have not been okay for many years. And this is one of the things that I've got to say, and it's hard to say that. It's very hard to say that. Now, I want to be clear. When I say I'm not okay, I'm not in crisis. I'm not homicidal. I'm not suicidal. I'm not, bitterly angry. I'm still finding joy in life. Definitely now. Wow, this trip's amazing. But I'm not okay, and I may never be okay again, and that's okay. and that's what I wanted to say today is, it's okay not to be okay. There's a reason for it. I have a disorder. So that's been weighing on me, and something hit me. I crossed into Labrador on, what day now? I don't even remember what day. I crossed into Labrador, and I'm making my way to Port Hope Simpson, and coming into Blanc-Sablon, I'm seeing icebergs. I've never seen an iceberg before in my life, and it's not a very big one, but it was a color blue I'd never seen in my life. Absolutely breathtaking. It was beautiful. Saw this pure black fox coming down the road. I've never seen one out in the wild before, and this guy was just looking, healthy, and he wasn't an animal that had been in a cage. And I'm after seeing black bear and bull moose and but going into Port Hope Simpson, I'm coming up over these rises, and every time I crest a hill, I'm thinking like this can't be any more beautiful. And I'm wrong, because every time I come over the hill, it's just more and more breathtaking. And I cried. And I didn't cry because I'm sad. I certainly have my sadness. I deal with it. I live with it. And I'm probably always going to. But I didn't cry because I was sad. I didn't cry because of the beauty of it, although that's a part of it. What I was seeing was breathtaking. I cried because I'm alive. I cried because I didn't realize how much of a burden I've been carrying and how long I had been carrying it. 17 years ago diagnosed, and things just become normal. That minimization and that rationalization became normal. That was my life. That's who I was. And it came out on that in that interview when Fred Hutton asked me, "How are you doing now?" And instead of saying I'm not okay, I cracked a joke and made like things were cool. But that burden I lived with, I didn't realize how heavy it was until I started to let it go. And I let it go a little more every day I'm on this trip. It's amazing. I've had these feelings where I've gotten on the bike and I've been riding, and that feeling like something's missing. And the only thing I can equate it to is, there's been seatbelt laws since I was a kid. And for me to get in the car now and drive without a seatbelt on feels odd. Something's missing. And that's what it felt like. I got on the bike and there was a tightness missing. There was a weight missing. And by and by, it's that burden. It's living that lie. It's hiding that truth. And it hit me. Crossing over the Barrens as I just got into Labrador, it hit me that's what's missing, and it hit me that I missed that opportunity to say I'm not okay, and I think that minimization and whether it's I don't even know why now, because I don't have to lie, I don't have to worry about losing my job, I don't have one, so hey, that's great. So what is it? All I can think of is it's either habit or it's pride. And my guess is it's a bit of both. It's that culture and that pride that's bred into us as members of the forces, particularly members of the combat arms, that you don't have feelings and you're okay, you just go. And I'm still carrying that. And I'm gonna have to trip over that a couple times before it's gone. I know I am. But the other thing too, like I said, this transition's new. It's only barely 3 months old. And I've immersed myself in a mission and a purpose, which is great. But I've also got to be very careful that I'm not using that to mask other pain or just using it to hide so that I don't face these issues. And this was a good teaching moment for me. And my hope is that it's a teaching moment. Somebody else can get some benefit from that moment as well. I don't have to hide that anymore. And I've spent 17 years being diagnosed and managing and going to counseling, but I haven't even begun treatment, to be honest. I haven't even started. And that doesn't start to the fall. I just spoke to my caseworker at VAC and intentionally put off counseling and therapy until the fall so that I could do this trip, because I felt like this was what was important. This was what was going to see me through that transition, get me to school, give me purpose. Just going to see a counselor or a therapist once a week and then rotting in my room for the other 6 days of the week, I didn't feel was going to get me anywhere. So it was very intentional to put that off. But I don't want to hide. I don't want to hide anymore. I'm sick of hiding. It's time to confront it. And that's here's me confronting it. I am not okay. But I'm not in danger. I'm not in crisis. And, I've met some people who got really emotional about things I've said. And people have been very upset, saying, I'm sorry this happened to you, but you don't need to be sorry for me. I say I put that burden down when I left the forces, and I did, but I don't feel that way about my service. I cherish that service to Canada, and the experiences I've had, and the friendships I've made, and the people I've met. I cherish all of it. I don't regret it a bit. Sorry, but it's good to just be able to let some of that go. And I know there's other people out there doing the same friggin' thing. I know you're out there. I've met you. We know each other. And I hope maybe that some of this can help some other people just let it go. And I'm just trying to open myself to this entire experience. And it's physically demanding and mentally demanding, just the ride, but putting myself out there and basically trying to engage people is totally outside of my normal and totally outside of my comfort zone. And that's been a challenge as well. And I'm finding, it's that's where growth happens, right? Growth happens in struggle. And I finally feel like my struggles are taking a healthy turn. And, I just really wanted to share that. I felt very bad when I listened to that interview and realized that he asked me about minimization, and he asked me how I was, and I missed that opportunity to just say it, because that's what we don't say. And that's what's isolating people, because we can't say it. So, there it is for what it's worth. Again, everybody, thank you for all the support. Man, it's overwhelming. Thanks to everybody who's come out and ride with me. Thanks for everybody who's come up and talked to me. This has really been one heck of a journey. And I mean, I'm still in Labrador. This is my last day in Labrador. I'm 20 kilometers from the Quebec border. So tomorrow I leave the eastern provinces behind, and I'm moving into Quebec. It's starting westward, and it's I still can't believe this is happening. It's just unreal. But to everybody who's donated through the GoFundMe page, or I had a gentleman just come up to me at the big stop in Deer Lake the other day and just hand me $20 and thank me for my service, and that's absolutely overwhelming. But to everybody who's supporting me, who's coming out to ride, who's just showing up to talk, or just sharing on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or wherever, thank you all so much. And I'm really hoping that as I go, I get to hear from more veterans, and hopefully some folks are ready to share their story, because we need people to share these stories. We need to hear them. And, and you guys don't just need to listen to me talk all the time. So, really, thanks everybody so much. And, I'm looking forward to, I get up in the morning and I'm like itching to get on that bike. Today was brutal. Today was absolutely brutal. I had wind I thought was going to blow me off the bike. I spent 3 hours just laying down on the gas tank so I wouldn't get blown over. And, my bike came up 100 kilometers short. Like, I ran out of gas 100 kilometers. I hit the reserve 100 kilometers before I would, simply because of the wind that I was fighting against today. But I love it. It is so amazing. And thank you to everybody helping make that happen. Thank you to everybody who's made themselves a part of this journey in whatever way you have. It means so much to me. Bye.